So, hello and welcome back yet again to another episode of Exploring Azeroth with Beryl. Today we are going to be going where we left off from, exploring the city of Ironforge, the dwarven capital city, which is quite a nice little place. We are going to be joining Beryl as she rides the Deep Run tram, which is a underground tram system that connects the cities of Stormwind and Ironforge. So, without too much further ado, I'm going to take me away and take it on over to Beryl. So, as you can see, we have Beryl dressed in her Easter finery. World of Warcraft goes ahead and it runs holiday events, and during those events, you can dress up in special little outfits, which I have actually earned most of, not all of them. So I decided, just for fun, we would go ahead and have her in her Noble Garden finery. So we're going to go over here and we are going to catch the tram. It's got some interesting sights to be seen as you kind of go along. You can see a sea monster, which, from what I understand, you used to be able to glitch through and go swimming with, but I'm pretty sure they've patched that now. Anyway, we will see her again once we get on the tram. And here we go. We are on the tram, and we're going to be chugging right along. I'm pretty sure that you can jump off because there are a couple other platforms along the way. And I've heard that you can jump off and just kind of hang out down here. Except if you do that, you're going to have a very long walk back to whatever city it is that you're going to. So I've never personally done it. I probably should. There we are. We are now passing. There's the sea monster. Other than that, there's not a whole heck of a lot going on with the tram. I had heard rumors a long time ago that the World of Warcraft development team was going to actually be connecting the rest of the Alliance cities to the tram, but that's something that they never actually did. So we will rejoin Beryl after the tram ride. And here we are now in the absolutely lovely city of Ironforge. Now, I went through here a whole lot the other day, again, just to make sure that there was nothing I had forgotten. And really, the biggest draw to me for the city of Ironforge is the fact that, unlike the city of Stormwind, this place is full of housing. Like actual proper houses. I will show you a few of my favorites in each area. And then we'll talk a little bit. I'll show you a few of the other fun little things I've found just outside of the city. And I'll also show you, since they are housed here in the city now, the actual old gnome city of Gnomergon, which should be another Alliance capital, but it isn't because they managed to mess it up royally, and it's now completely irradiated, so the gnomes live here with the dwarves in the city of Ironforge. Just like Stormwind, Ironforge has its own little districts. We're going to be exiting into the military ward, where there's a couple of nice little houses, and then moving into the commons, where the things like the banks and stuff are, and there are a couple houses along there. Then we are going to head into the Mystic Ward, which is where all the magic users hang out, and there's a couple decent houses there. Followed by the Forlorn Cavern, where if you have great patience and quite a little bit of luck, I've only done it I think twice on various characters, you can fish up a special fish that will get you an achievement. And yeah, it takes a very long time and a lot of patience of just sitting there fishing. Then we'll move on to the Hall of Explorers, where you can go and look around the different museum exhibits. And then I will show you a little bit that I've found on the outside of Ironforge before we move on to a couple of really interesting little things that I and some friends of mine have found just in the hills up around Ironforge itself. So, let's get to it. Now, if I were going to make this into an extremely long video, I would make Beryl walk slowly. You can do that by hitting the / key on your number lock pad, and then suddenly you are now just walking. It's kind of fun, not gonna lie. But since I don't want to make this a 12-hour long video, we're gonna go ahead and run a little bit. Now, just like Stormwind, there's a lot of little stores and things, but since I'm never content to just not poke into every last corner of a place, I've been in pretty much all of these buildings, and most of them are just sort of, you know, what they look like, just stores or places that your character could come in and get some training, all of those various fun things. But Ironforge, unlike Stormwind, also, I almost feel like they actually planned this city to have people kind of role-playing in it, because there are so many empty houses. Dwarven houses are some of my favorites in the game, although the beds look extremely uncomfortable, but they're all kind of nice, and you can just sit down. They're all decorated. And when I say almost my favorite, there are some houses that I will show you later that are even better. But these are all nice if you want to just sort of have a place to chill out. You've got a nice little balcony. And yeah, I mean, pretty much all of these houses look very similar. They're all laid out a little bit different, but not too much. But as you see, the city of Ironforge should be called the City of Apartments. This one's kind of neat. It's got a big old hunting trophy in it. Dwarves in this game are considered very good hunters. Now, this one is not a proper house, doesn't have bed. And you can't have a proper house if you don't have someplace to sleep at night. But yeah, there's also a lot of places like this where it's just another little house in the middle of the city. And this one's kind of nice because it's got hunting trophies, and you could probably just use your imagination and say that the place next door was your store. Like I said, I got into the whole role-playing thing because I was getting kind of bored of just playing the game the way everyone else wanted me to play it. And I was always making up stories about what my characters were doing anyway inside my own head. So I kind of just went here to the role-playing server and kind of found a home here. Nobody hassles you too much about if you're the best at DPS, which stands for damage per second in a dungeon, or anything like that. You can kind of just play the game your own way, which I appreciate. We're going to head over now, once we get through the Mystic Ward, to one of my very favorite little housing areas. You come in right here, and you've got this nice little house. And then if you have a guild or a group of friends, I think this is the one where right next door there is this absolutely beautiful little meeting hall. It's not a house, but it is definitely a very nice little meeting room. You can have your guild meetings in here, and it's quite the place. I appreciate it. But yeah, that is in this corner of the Mystic Ward, which you've got this fun little fountain in the middle. Everything's decorated a little bit mystically. I guess that's an oxymoron. But yeah. And again, a couple more little houses. I think this one is... Nope, this one actually has... You just pretend he's your butler. But got another little house over here. And that one. Like I said, I really think that Blizzard kind of missed the ball on player housing. Maybe it's something that they will fix in the future. Maybe it's not. But until then, you use your imagination and have fun with that. Now here we are in the Forlorn Cavern, where you can go fishing. And like I said, you can get, I think his name is Old Ironjaw. He's this big old catfish looking thing. This is also where you can get the daily fishing quest, which, let me tell you, if you are looking for experience, don't skimp out on the fishing and cooking daily quests, because they help out a lot. I think I've figured out pretty much every way to get experience to get my characters up to max level without having to do dungeons and things, which I don't object to doing dungeons, but it's very stressful, and unless I'm going in with a group of friends that I personally know, it's just not worth it for me. I go to all of the dungeons, and perhaps later on in this series, after we are done exploring the main parts of the world, we'll go in and I'll show you some of the interesting things that I've found in the dungeons. Once all of the enemies are gone, you can stay in there and poke around as long as you want. And trust me, I do, because there's some really cool stuff. In fact, there are some vendors that you can only find inside of dungeons, and they give you some unique things that you can't get anywhere else. Alright, we're going to run over here to the museum. Like I said, Ironforge doesn't actually have a lot in the way of secrets and things, but they do have a nice museum here. You can wander around and look at everything, and it's kind of pretty. Kind of just like going to a museum in real life. Now over here you can also get your heirloom gear, which is another way to get a little bit of bonus experience while you're leveling up. Not that I probably need to point that out to anybody that's been playing this game for any amount of time, but if you haven't been, it's a good thing to know. We're going to move into the middle of the city here and take a look at the Great Forge, which is where the dwarves do a lot of their blacksmithing and ironworking. It's also where the throne room is, and there is another very nice little apartment that's right here by the flight point, and is another one of my very favorite houses. I do like them better when you don't walk right in and come smack into your, basically, bedroom. But I like this one because it has a very nice balcony that kind of lets you look out and watch everyone as they arrive. One more thing that pretty much everybody that's been playing World of Warcraft for any amount of time knows about, but a lot of people who haven't been playing for a long time might not know about, is there is an area under this city. It is called Old Ironforge, and it used to be a restricted area that you couldn't get to unless you sort of glitched through a wall. But, oh, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago probably, they opened it up, and now you can come down here to Old Ironforge and kind of look at the old city. There's really nothing going on down here. I think there might be a couple of quests that send you down this way now. But other than that, it's just yet another kind of cool place. You can look around, you can see the lava at the heart of Ironforge. Take a look up, see the crystal caverns up above. It's just mostly a flavor and prettiness thing. and I do appreciate it. You can go all the way down and walk along the lava pathway down there below you, or you can come up here to the remains of the Dwarven Library. Now, none of these books are readable. I've never actually found one that you could click on and read. But I always come and check anyway because you never know what Blizzard's gonna do. Sometimes something will pop up that you just never saw before. So pretty much that is pretty much everything I have found in the city of Ironforge. Now, if you've been playing this game a long time and there's anything that I missed inside of Ironforge that you know of that is super cool and maybe a secret area that I don't know about because I do not claim to know everything, please leave it in the comments down below because I love poking around in new places. But until then, I am going to get Beryl changed because she is not in proper riding attire for outside, and we will join her up on her flying mount, and I will show you a couple of really cool things that I found outside of Ironforge. Alright, we have rejoined Beryl, who is back in her explorer's gear, and she is just outside of the main gates of Ironforge. Pretty cool. So we're going to mount up, and I'm going to show you a couple of cool things that I found as I was flying around. This first one was actually told to me by a friend who found it first, so I thought it was pretty neat. But I'm the one that I think I put together the fact that this was probably the guy's camp. So there's this nice little camp. They're little miners, little explorers. But if you keep going up to the very peak of Mount Ironforge, I don't even know if this mountain has a name, but the very highest peak on top of Ironforge, you'll see there's a flag, which is the banner of Ironforge. So you keep on going, and it looks like this poor little dude died when he planted the flag. I thought that was kind of neat. The other fun thing that I found is on the back side of Ironforge. You've got a bunch of dwarves out here. Now this one's just a guard. But if you keep on going, there are a bunch of dwarves that are out here going sledding. Which I guess if you live in this place where it's snowing all the time, I'd go sledding too. And if you follow their little path right to the end of their sledding trail, you can see, because dwarves love their beer, their little hideaway where they've got all their beer stored. And this is where they would go to refresh themselves after a hard day of sledding. It's kind of neat. So definitely thank you to my friend who will know who they are for letting me know about those. Like I said, that's about all I found in the way of interesting things in Ironforge, but really quick, we're going to run over and we are going to look at what would have been the capital city for our good friends, the gnomes. Also, give me 1 second. So something weird I just noticed, and thought was something that is wrong, but maybe it's just something with the monitor that this is on. The sky in my game is not that black, but it does look kind of cool. So we're just gonna roll with it, and yeah. Anyway, back to what I was doing. We're gonna come down here to where the gnome starter area is and take a look at what would have been another capital city if the Alliance gnomes weren't so bad with irradiating their entire area. There's a whole fantastic story that tells you the whole backstory of what happened here to our friends the gnomes and why their capital city ended up It kind of ended up as a dungeon instead of as a capital city. And maybe one day I will do the gameplay for that and actually take you through that scenario. But until then, we're going to take a really quick look inside here. We're not going to go into the dungeon itself, but we'll go take a look at what would have been the Gnome Capital City. Oops. Hopefully I won't die. Didn't die, just got myself massively hurt by falling down that elevator shaft. Now, as you can see, they definitely did some bad things down here. All of their little roaches are irradiated, and half of the gnome population actually turned into leper gnomes. It's kind of a tragic story. The gnomes that we have now that are part of the Alliance are the ones that got out before they became these crazed leper gnomes. And there's a whole fantastic scenario that will tell you the entire story, and there's a huge dungeon, which I have to say is not my favorite dungeon, that is down here. It's not my favorite dungeon because it's so big that you will get yourself incredibly lost running around in it unless you have run it a million times, and I haven't. But it's kind of fun. So yeah, this is what would have been the gnomes' capital city if things had kind of shaken out differently. Kind of a cute place. You can definitely see some of their influence in some of the other cities because they are one of those races that has become sort of the backbone of our inventors in this game. There's one more thing I want to show you before I sign off for today, and that is a cool little cabin that I found that's actually just outside of this area. Other than that, this starter area of Dunmoreau is pretty much basic. It's kind of like the area around Stormwind, Elwyn Forest. There's not a whole heck of a lot in the way of secrets out here. But I did find, while I was snooping around, a really cool cabin, and I will show you where it is in just a minute. Alright, to find this place, what you need to do is you leave the polluted city of New Tinkertown, and you just head towards the coast here. It's not too far off, but as you can see, you fly over this beautiful area. Now, you do have to have a flying mount to get here, as far as I know. There's the possibility that you don't have to, but I'm pretty sure you do. What I just went over was the dwarf starting area, which has its own little story behind it. But you just need to keep flying towards the coastline on your map, and then come out and you'll see the water. You're going to go ahead and head to the... what direction is this? Let's see. I think we're now going... Yeah, you're going to head kind of to the northeast, and you'll notice everything's starting to get a little bit green. Now, I was just flying around, kind of minding my own business, and I happened to notice that there's a little house down here. I don't think whoever lived here had a very good time, because this house is full of nothing but skeletons, but it's still kind of just a neat little place that I found. So we'll land and poke around a little bit. Now, you can tell by the style of it that this was probably a human house, because dwarf houses do not look like this at all, because each race in this game has its own kind of style of architecture, as you will see as we go through. Now, it says that it's Newman's Landing. I don't know anything about who this might be, if there are any quests that are associated with Newman. If you know anything about this, please leave it in the comments, because I'm really curious now. But you can see it looks like somebody met a sticky end right here. There's an axe that's buried in the pole, and then you can go inside and see the rest of the family is kind of just scattered around the room. So something definitely happened here. And that's about all I've found in the Ironforge and Nomergon area. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you know anything I missed, please leave it in the comments down below. I would love to hear about it. Our next episode of Exploring will actually be with Beryl's older sister, Onyx, and she will be taking us to the Undercity, which is on the Horde side, and I hope to see you again when we explore Azeroth a little bit more, this time with Onyx. Have a great night, everybody. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and hit subscribe. I do all sorts of things. I read books, I draw pictures. Sometimes I explore in Azeroth, and sometimes I play The Sims. Sometimes I just go for walks. Sometimes it'll just be my cat. You never know on this channel, but I kind of try to do it all, at least a little bit. But as always, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will talk to you next time. Have a great night.